There are lots of people that have a phobia of magnolia. It's a bit like watching paint dry. I'm not talking about paint, I'm talking about these beautiful flowers. It's fair to say that the joke's a little contrived, and so's the photo. The whole point of the image is to find a setting, a frame for it, something to shoot through. And of course, this doesn't have to be magnolia. This could be any flower, anything. But it works really well with flowers because you've often got clusters of them together, and you can shoot through things and get some really interesting images. So you can see just how close the camera is to the leaves here. It's virtually touching, and the whole point is it's creating a really beautiful soft kind of vignette to shoot through to get this wonderful flower here. We can perform the same kind of trick over here as well. The one thing you've got to be really careful of is not knocking the plant that you're trying to shoot, because right now it's in my ear, and you see as I move it just bounces everywhere, so I've got to wait for that to slow down. And I just can't look through the viewfinder to get this shot. I've got to be really careful how I get my arm around this because it's kind of everywhere. So this isn't shooting through in quite the same way as before. It's kind of just using this leaf and this one here as just kind of a soft point for it, but the wind is picking up a little bit now, so it's making it a bit more awkward. I'll take it while I can. And I'm using f4 for an aperture, and I'm getting about a 320th of a second at 400 ISO. Now, that's absolutely fine. There's not a great deal of light around, but that's doing quite well for me. And if we see there, I'd want to darken the background a little bit more than that, but I can do that later on. It's quite a nice shot, I think. Of course, you don't need to shoot through something in order to get a soft framing. It's just one of the ways of doing it. Here I'm shooting at an angle through, and if I clear the screen of data, you can see everything around the edges of this image of this rhododendron is really soft, and we're just focusing on the stamen. Some really nice imagery here. Perhaps I want to just brighten this up a little, and yeah, there we go. It's a nice shot, and of course it's the perfect time to get out with your camera into some gardens, or indeed even your own garden, and just get some amazing images of the beauty and the detail of these things. Now, of course, you probably want a good quality lens or a macro lens. You can see just how close I am to this here. You can do this kind of photography with most phones. Most phones will allow you to get stupidly close with your camera. This Pro lens on the Olympus here is just stunning, and like, what's that, 4 or 5 inches or so. My 40 to 150 will allow me to focus. I think it's certainly less than a meter, I think, and again, that gets me really close to these things. But who can't love that image? Oh, it's gone. I'll bring it back on screen for you. I'm going to try and focus stack an image. Typically the breeze has worked its way up a little bit, but we'll try and give it a go. The camera will do this automatically for me, and it will even combine them in camera, and it does an incredibly good job of it. And the purpose of that is to get this leading stamen down here in focus, and taking that focus back right the way into the flute of the flower. The one thing I like to do when I'm shooting flowers is always to make sure that there's some softness in it. So it's this trick of shooting through something, getting something very close to the lens. And if you can't do that, which in the case here is I can't quite do that, as you can see, again, very close. What I am doing is shooting at an angle so that you can see here that the petals, liven that back up again. So the petals on this side are really soft, and I'm kind of focusing somewhere in the middle there with f7.1 on this. I'm only getting 1/100th of a second here, and I've increased the ISO up to 1000. Now, don't be afraid of increasing your ISO. You should be able to get to at least 1600 without any particular degradation. The biggest problem, well, people have a phobia of high ISOs for no particularly good reason in lots of cases. The noise comes in when we get shadows and dark. The noise is really because of the absence of light. The signal to noise ratio in the camera on the sensor basically increases the noise when there's not a lot of signal. Not a lot of signal means there's not a lot of light, or should I say it the other way around? Not a lot of light means there's not a lot of signal. Hence, there's more noise. So if we pull the sensitivity up of the sensor, then we can get more light recorded and therefore actually keep noise levels lower. It's contrary to a lot of the kind of popular thinking of ISO. Don't be afraid of it. But of course, yeah, the modern software as well. Yeah, the denoise, even the denoise in Lightroom, it's pretty good. But you know, if you buy DxO Pure Raw, for instance, it's just magic. My biggest problem here is steadiness, actually. Anyway, I think it's quite a nice shot. I'll put it up. Let me know what you think. I just stumbled upon this wonderful magnolia here, and a lot of the blooms are really beautiful up the top where they're getting most light. Further down they're still very much kind of buddy, and there's a few that have passed. I'm kind of thinking about putting the long lens on and shooting up towards the light, but I know that that's not going to work terribly well because I'm just shooting into the light, so I'm going to fight with exposure. These beautiful colours really need to be on a darker background, so I'm not sure what I'm going to do with this yet. Did wonder about getting up on the bench over there and kind of shooting a height to them, but again, no, that's not really going to work terribly well either. Stumped for the minute. The next time I make a video and I say gear doesn't matter, call me out, because there are times where gear does matter, and of course this is one of them. If this tripod didn't have this articulating head, I couldn't get this shot, and it's just an amazing piece of equipment. Sadly, Giottos don't make these tripods any longer. You've probably seen the review of the K&F tripod that I've got that has an articulating, or it's not, it's a trans, it's not even a head that whizzes around. Transverse is the word. And that allows it to go kind of horizontal out. So yes, I could, I could use the other one if that bloom was down at, down here somewhere. But it's not. It's kind of nose height, and I've got to get above it. And the only way I can do that is to have a tripod that allows me to extend all the way here and then get that centre column up even further at an angle. Gear matters. Any idiot that tells you that it doesn't is an idiot, including me. Of course, gear matters in some circumstances. It's not necessarily the megapixel count of your gear, it's what your gear can achieve for you. And here, it matters a lot. Oh, it's very still. I was about to say I'm not necessarily going to play about too much with this. I need to make sure it's sharp. I've got F9. Looks quite sharp. I don't know whether it's going to be sharp all the way through it. I don't know whether the shot's worthwhile. This is going to almost certainly have to end up as a square crop in any case, which I'm not concerned about. There's nothing. This is the problem. Hold on, let me just put this on video. You can see that there's nothing down here in the background anyway, so yeah, square crop I suspect. Anyway, I like the shot for what it is at the minute. It's perhaps a bit too clever for my boots, I don't know. Anyway, just another idea. It's a shame that the shot's not a little bit lower, but natty, isn't it? Well, it's not a square crop, but there is a lot of work in this. I don't know that it was worth it. I'd be interested in your thoughts on it. So of course the great thing about this kind of photography is you haven't got to travel to the ends of the earth to get a decent image. You don't have to go anywhere particularly to practice. You can go to your local park, you can go to your garden, your window box. You can make it even more simple. You can go and buy a bunch of flowers. In actual fact, a bunch of flowers could work really well if you were to go and buy a bunch of flowers and then buy a block of Oasis or something like that. You know, Oasis is this kind of green foam that florists use to position flowers in arrangements and such. This kind of stuff is incredibly accessible to all of us, and then really all you need is a window light or maybe some little LED panels or something, you know, just little battery operated things. It's about improvising. It's about finding images where you haven't got to do much, you know, or rather, yeah, they're everywhere. And what I'm about really half the time is about saying, well, look, you haven't got to go and get on a plane or get in the car and drive miles or fly miles and go for all of the hassle of that when you've got amazing image potential just literally on your window ledge or on your balcony or in your garden or in your local park. I've said this I don't know how many times now, but yeah, that's what it's about. Go and practice photography. Something else you might consider, not working in colour, work in black and white. It sounds crazy when we're talking about some of these beautiful, beautiful colours of the flowers, but sometimes black and white, you strip away the colour detail. Sometimes black and white, there's a real beauty in it. I found this on a walk that I had, I think it was last Sunday. It doesn't matter to you when it was, does it? But I'll show you a few shots of some blossom that I got then, and these are black and white, and I think these are fabulous. If you're serious about getting better at photography, the only way you're going to do it is with practice. My videos can give you some ideas and some more inspiration, but it's only practice that will make you better. So get out this weekend and get some photos. I hope this has been useful. Click the like button, subscribe, all of that stuff. We'll see you next week.